Y&R spoilers. All about Phyllis Summers. What's she up to now? The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates reveal Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, has not completely healed from everything that has occurred in recent years. She has faced more challenges than successes. As the teaser for the September 5th episode hints at another significant moment for Phyllis, let's reflect on her journey and where it has brought her today. Phyllis's strong desire for revenge. In 2022, Phyllis discovered that Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, was alive and had been pretending to be dead for years, just as Phyllis was getting back together with Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman. Diane insisted she had changed, but Phyllis couldn't bring herself to trust her, especially since she feared Jack might leave her for the mother of his child. Phyllis couldn't bear the thought of Jack choosing Kyle Abbott's, Michael Mealer, birth mother over her, so she became fixated on taking revenge. Phyllis joined forces with Ashley Abbott, Eileen Davidson, and Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, to force Diane out of town. Sadly, their plan failed because Diane was determined to stay, and eventually, she married Jack, fueled by Phyllis's own jealousy. Phyllis faked her death and attended her own funeral in disguise. Phyllis's life took a dramatic turn initially. It appeared she had died in a fiery ambulance accident. However, she staged her death with the assistance of her husband, Jeremy Stark, James Hyde. They believed they had devised the perfect scheme, yet, Stark's threats and demands became overwhelming for Phyllis. In a moment of madness, she stabbed him with scissors. Phyllis eventually disclosed to her daughter, Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, that she was alive and well. She pleaded with her not to reveal this, which ultimately led to the end of her marriage to Kyle, Michael Mealer. Summer disregarded her mother's wishes and told her brother, Daniel, Michael Graziade, who then exposed their mother's death ruse to everyone. Phyllis broke the trust of many, and it got even worse. Phyllis made significant efforts to regain the trust of those around her, including former friends and foes. However, this situation continues to linger in their minds even now. Phyllis lost the trust of everyone. Phyllis faced continuous challenges. She became needy and anxious in her chase for Danny Romalotti, Michael Damian, who ultimately chose Christine Cricket Williams, Laura Lee Bell. Unsurprisingly, Phyllis struggled with their reunion. On New Year's Eve, she faked a date with Tucker McCall, Trevor St. John, to provoke jealousy in Danny, but it backfired. Phyllis then started chasing after other exes, and then things got worse. She also pursued her former partners, Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, and Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, who were both put off and frightened by her. In November 2024, Phyllis was involved in a car accident that left her unconscious and in serious condition. Her children feared they might lose their mother this time. Jordan, Colleen Zenk, and Ian Ward, Ray Wise, caused the crash as they sought revenge on the Newmans. The dramatic car accident prompted Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, to confess to Nick about Heather Stevens, Vale Bloom. She thought she killed her and disposed of her body in the river, but it was later uncovered that Ian and Jordan were actually the ones who committed the horrific murder. Phyllis got involved in the aftermath of Heather's murder. Jordan and Ian tampered with Sharon's medication, pushing her to the brink of madness and making her believe she was to blame. Phyllis became involved due to her lack of trust in Sharon, and the dreadful duo exploited their long-standing rivalry to amplify the tension. Phyllis cautioned Nick about Sharon and questioned if she was responsible for Heather's death. She was resolute in her quest for justice for Daniel, who had a love connection with Heather, the mother of their child, Lucy Romalotti, Lily Brooks O'Brien. They had been living as husband and wife after Daniel earlier reconciled with childhood sweetheart, Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, then dumping her for Heather upon her return with Lucy. Kidnapped by a madman and forced to get along. Earlier this year, Phyllis and Sharon were abducted by Alan Laurent, Christopher Cousins, who was deceiving Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland. He led her to believe he was his twin brother, a psychiatrist and a friend of Ashley's. They reconciled their past and became friends, after forcing Phyllis and Sharon to get along. However, the trauma resurfaced in Nice when they found themselves trapped at Kane Ashby's, Billy Flynn, French estate. Kane revealed his true identity as Aristotle Dumas. Still, that didn't deter Phyllis from wanting to collaborate with him. She thinks they could form a strong partnership, especially with her tech skills. After learning about artificial intelligence, Phyllis feels confident about dominating all the businesses in Genoa City. But now Kane wants nothing to do with her. So, what will Phyllis do next? Phyllis Summers has always been the ultimate wild card on The Young and the Restless. No matter how many times she vows to change, Genoa City fans know one thing. Trouble always seems to follow her. Whether she's scheming her way into power, sabotaging her rivals, or trying to protect the people she loves, often in questionable ways, Phyllis is never far from the drama. Right now, she's in the thick of new storylines that could once again alter her place in town, and remind everyone why she's one of the soap's most compelling figures. A survivor with 9 lives. Phyllis has cheated death, exposure, and banishment more times than fans can count. Most recently, she faked her own death in one of the most shocking moves the show has pulled in years. That stunt put her at odds with nearly everyone she cares about. While it was her way of outsmarting Jeremy Stark, it also tore apart her relationships with her children and friends. Red's choices often come from a place of self-preservation, but they tend to leave her isolated, a pattern that continues to play out in her current arc. A rocky relationship with her children. One of the biggest sources of Phyllis's current heartache is her fractured bond with her children, Summer Newman and Daniel Romalotti. Summer, still furious that her mother's faked death wreaked havoc on her marriage and family, has struggled to forgive. Daniel, too, has held his mother accountable, especially after she roped him into her lies. It's clear Phyllis is desperate to win them back. Spoilers suggest that upcoming episodes will feature her softening her approach, showing genuine remorse instead of her usual defensiveness. For once, Phyllis may be learning that manipulation won't heal these wounds. Only time, patience, and accountability will. The question is, will her kids believe she's truly changed, or will they always wonder if another scheme is lurking around the corner? Business and power moves. Phyllis has always had a keen business sense, even if her methods have been cutthroat. Right now, she's facing crossroads in her professional life as much as her personal one. With Chancellor Winters and Newman Enterprises dominating Genoa City's corporate wars, Red is itching to carve out her own niche. Rumor has it she's considering diving back into tech, possibly revisiting her past with Restless Style or another innovative venture. Fans know that when Phyllis is backed into a corner, she finds a way to reinvent herself. This time, it may involve teaming up with a surprising ally. Could she work alongside someone like Adam Newman, who also knows what it's like to be the town pariah? Or might she lean into her complicated history with Nick and attempt to rebuild a life that intertwines with Newman family business drama? Either way, her professional storyline promises to shake things up. Old flames. New drama. Romantically, Phyllis is rarely without intrigue. She's been linked to some of Genoa City's most powerful men, including Jack Abbott and Nick Newman, and fans often debate which pairing suits her best. Jack has moved forward with Diane Jenkins, a rival Phyllis loathes more than anyone. Seeing Jack and Diane together eats away at her, but the more she lashes out, the more Jack distances himself. Nick, meanwhile, is once again unattached after his latest Newman family chaos. Could Phyllis slide back into his orbit? Spoilers tease that she might find herself in a triangle, or perhaps even a quadrangle, if her romantic past comes knocking. What remains clear is that her jealousy over Diane will continue to fuel reckless decisions, whether in her personal or professional life. Rivalries that define her. Speaking of Diane Jenkins, that feud is still at the heart of Phyllis's story. These two women have battled for decades, and the latest round of their rivalry has only grown more vicious. Diane has the upper hand for now, with Jack's support and a newfound sense of stability. But Phyllis thrives when she's underestimated. Don't be surprised if she finds a way to flip the script, exposing Diane's flaws just when everyone else has begun to trust her. Phyllis also faces opposition from Genoa City residents who are simply tired of her antics. People like Nikki Newman and Ashley Abbott have long warned others not to trust her, and her past schemes make it easy for them to point fingers. That said, Phyllis has a knack for turning enemies into reluctant allies when circumstances demand it. Viewers are bracing to see whether her next move is destructive, or surprisingly redemptive. A glimpse of redemption? Underneath all the scheming, Phyllis is a character who wants love and respect. She longs to be close to her children, to be admired for her intelligence, and to prove she can outsmart her enemies without losing everything. That's why so many fans root for her despite her flaws, because they see the vulnerability she tries so hard to hide. In upcoming weeks, spoilers suggest Phyllis will have a defining moment. A chance to either sacrifice her happiness for her kids' well-being or pursue another dangerous scheme that could backfire. If she chooses the former, we could be looking at the beginning of a long-overdue redemption arc. If she chooses the latter, well, Genoa City had better buckle up. What's next for Phyllis? Phyllis Summers is unpredictable by design. Viewers tune in because she embodies the messiness of human nature. Desperate for love, quick to lash out, clever enough to scheme, but vulnerable enough to crash and burn. What she's up to now is the same thing she's always been up to. Fighting for her place in a world that rarely gives second chances. Whether she rebuilds bridges with her children, rekindles an old flame, or reignites her war with Diane, one thing is certain. Phyllis will not fade quietly into the background. She's too fiery, too ambitious, and too layered for that. Expect fireworks, betrayal, and maybe even a few tears as her latest chapter unfolds.